Welcome back. A hearing is set for next Tuesday in the case for Sean Diddy Combs. This just days after jurors delivered a mixed verdict in his trafficking and racketeering trial.
Hi, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. Incredibly graphic testimony today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And we have to warn you, some of what you hear may be disturbing.
Sean Diddy Combs, a name once synonymous with luxury, power, and the golden age of hip-hop, now finds himself at the center of a scandal so explosive it could rewrite the narrative of his entire career. We've all seen him in his prime, commanding stages, throwing legendary parties, and building an empire. But now, the man who once branded himself as larger than life stands accused of something far darker. Allegations of bribery, manipulation, and a conspiracy so twisted it feels ripped from the pages of a Hollywood thriller. The courtroom, once a stage for his legal triumphs, has become a theater of desperation, where Diddy, clad in a muted suit, sat with his hands clasped, eyes scanning the jury, as though silently pleading for salvation. The mogul who once towered over the entertainment world now looked like a man on the brink of losing everything.
So it looks like right now the judge is denying bail, meaning that he will not be released pending the sentencing hearing. I want to emphasize that there are two things happening basically at once. Today is about the conditions of release, if any, and it looks like the reporting from inside the courtroom is that Sean Combs will not be released on bail.
But this trial isn't just about Diddy, it's about the system itself. How could a man facing charges that include racketeering and trafficking walk away with what many see as a slap on the wrist? How could a jury acquit him of crimes so heinous they've left survivors and advocates reeling? The whispers began almost immediately. Allegations of a $50 million bribery scheme surfaced, suggesting that Diddy had funneled vast sums of money disguised as charitable donations through shadowy networks of insiders. And we're not talking about just anyone. Names like Lou Taylor, the infamous business manager tied to Britney Spears' conservatorship, and even members of the Kardashian clan have been whispered in connection to this alleged scheme. If these claims are true, it's not just a scandal, it's a blueprint for how the rich and powerful bend the justice system to their will. And this isn't just about money. The allegations are as chilling as they are audacious. Sources claim Diddy maintained what some insiders have ominously referred to as a witness elimination fund. Let that sink in. An alleged slush fund designed not just to silence whistleblowers, but to erase them completely. For years, brave individuals who dared to speak out against the mogul reportedly vanished from the public eye, their voices drowned out by a sea of NDAs and hush money. If even a fraction of this is true, it raises a terrifying question. How many people have been silenced to protect Diddy's empire? And how many more are afraid to step forward?
The judge right now is going through a number of different reasons. Again, very quick reporting indicates that the judge is citing to the defense attorney's own statements during the case that Sean Combs is a violent person, has had violent personal relationships. But of course, the defense said that doesn't mean he's guilty of racketeering. It looks like the judge is now using those statements to say he should be denied bail.
But the revelations don't stop there. In the midst of the trial, federal agents reportedly uncovered a vault of tapes, explicit footage, allegedly recorded at Diddy's infamous Freakoff parties. These weren't just any parties. We're talking about marathon gatherings drenched in excess, where the lines between consent and coercion allegedly blurred. And the tapes? They allegedly feature not just Diddy, but a laundry list of A-list celebrities, some of whom have long projected squeaky clean images. The rumors swirling around these tapes are enough to make Hollywood's elites hold their collective breath. What's on them? Who's on them? And perhaps most importantly, why haven't they been made public? Are they being used as leverage? A ticking time bomb in a world where secrets are currency? Or are they simply too damning to ever see the light of day? The sheer audacity of these allegations has left everyone, from fans to industry insiders, wondering how this could have stayed hidden for so long. For years, Diddy's parties were whispered about in backrooms and industry circles, but they were always dismissed as the eccentricities of a man who thrived on pushing boundaries. Now, those whispers have turned into roars, and the details emerging from court documents and testimony paint a picture that's far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. One juror, speaking anonymously to the press, described the so-called Freakoff footage as tame, claiming it was just a lot of oil and rubbing. But does that tell the whole story? Or is it a carefully crafted narrative designed to downplay the incriminating nature of the tape?
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those, this is what I heard, they're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
What's even more jarring is the level of complicity suggested in these allegations. The parties weren't just about indulgence, they were allegedly about power, control, and submission. Reports claim that attendees were coerced into acts they didn't fully understand or consent to, with substances flowing freely and cameras rolling at all times. And Diddy? He wasn't just a participant, according to these claims. He was the orchestrator, a man who, behind closed doors, allegedly reveled in his ability to manipulate and dominate everyone around him. If these tapes were to be leaked, they wouldn't just tarnish Diddy's reputation. They could expose an entire ecosystem of abuse and exploitation within Hollywood's most elite circles. But let's not forget the chilling undercurrent of ritualistic allegations that have emerged. Some witnesses have described Diddy's gatherings not just as debaucherous, but as something darker, involving eerie rituals and practices that are almost too grotesque to believe. One outspoken accuser referred to them as satanic rituals disguised as parties, suggesting that there was a deeper, more sinister layer to Diddy's empire. These claims, while unproven, have ignited a firestorm of speculation. Could it be that these gatherings were about more than just indulgence? Could they represent a secretive, cult-like culture where the powerful preyed on the vulnerable to maintain their status and influence?
Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures. And entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Of course not. Of course not.
And then there's the question of who knew. Hollywood is an industry built on appearances, and for years, Diddy's inner circle seemed untouchable. But as more allegations come to light, it's becoming clear that this wasn't a one-man operation. From his business associates to his closest confidants, it appears that many people may have played a role in keeping his secrets hidden. Even now, as the trial's revelations unfold, there's a palpable sense of fear among those who once stood by his side. How deep does this rabbit hole go, and who else might be implicated before all is said and done? What's most shocking about all of this is the brazenness with which it was allegedly carried out. Diddy didn't just live on the edge, he built his empire there, thriving on controversy and chaos. But now, as the walls close in, it seems the very traits that propelled him to superstardom could be the ones that lead to his downfall. The trial may be over, but the questions it has raised are far from answered. And as more voices begin to emerge, each carrying their own harrowing stories, it's clear that this is just the beginning of a much larger reckoning.
Did you ever spend time with the guy? Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart. Super business, he's...
But just when we thought the scandal couldn't get any darker, the sudden disappearance of Jane, a key witness in the trial, has sent shockwaves through both legal circles and the public. Jane, who bravely testified against Diddy under a pseudonym, vanished without a trace shortly after the trial concluded. The details surrounding her disappearance are murky at best, but the timing is impossible to ignore. Was she intimidated into silence? Or worse, was she removed by forces determined to protect the truth from ever coming out? This isn't the first time a whistleblower tied to Diddy's alleged misdeeds has seemingly evaporated into thin air. Over the years, several individuals who spoke out against him have either recanted their claims or simply disappeared from public view. Coincidence? Or a calculated strategy to ensure the silence of those who know too much? What makes Jane's case particularly chilling are the parallels to other alleged incidents. One insider claims that Jane had received subtle but unnerving threats in the weeks leading up to her testimony. Cryptic messages, unfamiliar cars outside her home, and even a break-in where nothing was stolen. It's the kind of intimidation tactic ripped straight out of a crime thriller. But here's the terrifying twist. It's real. And now, with Jane gone, prosecutors are left scrambling to figure out what happened. Some have speculated that she entered witness protection, but others fear a much bleaker outcome. After all, in a world where power and influence reign supreme...
So I'll tell you, I don't know how much... I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, but was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything with successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties they did.
And Jane isn't the only piece of this puzzle that's gone missing. Reports have surfaced of international operatives, shadowy fixers, allegedly hired by Diddy's team, working behind the scenes to clean up his messes. These aren't your average public relations experts. These are individuals who specialize in erasing evidence, silencing witnesses, and covering tracks across borders. One anonymous source claims that hotel security footage from a potentially damning incident was wiped clean just hours after investigators requested it. Another insists that witnesses scheduled to testify suddenly withdrew after receiving lucrative payouts or cryptic warnings. Even private investigators hired by alleged victims have reported being followed, harassed, or blocked from accessing crucial information. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, only to find more rot at every turn.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some...
But as if the allegations against Diddy weren't scandalous enough, whispers have now surfaced casting doubt on the integrity of the trial itself. At the heart of this new twist stands Judge Arun Subramanian, the very person tasked with delivering impartial justice. Rumors have emerged that Subramanian, known for his measured demeanor in the courtroom, may have once been a quiet participant in Diddy's exclusive circle. Anonymous sources claim the judge was spotted at several high-profile events hosted by the music mogul over the years, raising serious questions about whether his past connections could have influenced his decisions in the case. While no official records confirm these claims, the mere suggestion of a conflict of interest has sent shockwaves through the legal community and the public alike. These alleged events weren't ordinary gatherings either. Insiders describe them as hyper-exclusive networking parties, invitation-only affairs where the ultra-wealthy and politically connected mingled in secrecy. According to those familiar with Diddy's infamous social calendar, these soirees were designed to cultivate favors and alliances, a web of influence that blurred the lines between professional and personal relationships. If the judge attended even one of these events, it could imply a troubling level of familiarity with the defendant, and worse, the possibility of backdoor deals to ensure a favorable outcome. For now, the judge has remained silent on the matter. But the optics of these allegations are damning enough to spark widespread speculation.
LeBron, I represent whoever it is.
Right.
All right, so what are you going to do? Well, here's what we're going to do. Here's what the pay is. $30 million, $20 million. Who's the money going to?
Okay. So I'm not sure. I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
The timing of these rumors couldn't be more suspect. Just days before the trial began, a leaked email allegedly tied to a member of Diddy's legal team hinted at a strategy to manage the bench. While the email refrained from naming the judge directly, its vague language about leveraging past acquaintances has led many to believe it was a veiled reference to Subramanian. Could this be the smoking gun? Or is it simply another layer of misdirection in a case already buried beneath accusations and counterclaims? Either way, the implications are staggering. If true, it would mean that the very foundation of this trial was compromised before it even began. Critics have also pointed to subtle moments during the proceedings that now seem eerily suspicious in hindsight. For example, the defense's unusually smooth path to discredit key witnesses, including Jane, has raised eyebrows. While it's not uncommon for defense teams to aggressively challenge credibility, some observers have suggested that the judge's rulings on what evidence could or couldn't be presented seemed oddly favorable to Diddy's side. Was this simply the result of a meticulous legal strategy, or was there an unseen hand tilting the scales? With so much at stake, the slightest hint of bias in the courtroom could undermine the entire pursuit of justice.
I don't know this, but it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if listen, I've worried about some of the things that I talk about on my show.
What makes this potential connection even more chilling is the broader context of Diddy's alleged influence over powerful figures. If these claims about the judge hold any weight, it suggests a playbook far more sophisticated than anyone could have imagined, one where even those in positions of authority are not immune to manipulation. This wouldn't just be a failure of one trial. It would be an indictment of the entire system, a reminder of how deeply entrenched power dynamics can corrupt the pursuit of truth. The mere possibility is enough to make anyone wonder, how many more cases like this have slipped through the cracks, hidden behind the carefully curated facades of wealth and celebrity? As the dust begins to settle on the courtroom drama, the judge's alleged ties to Diddy have become a story of their own, one that threatens to overshadow even the most shocking details of the trial. The public is left to grapple with a haunting question. If the man presiding over this case couldn't be trusted, what does that say about the verdict? And more importantly, what chance does justice truly have when the powerful seem to operate above the law? These questions hang heavy in the air, leaving everyone to wonder just how deep this conspiracy runs.
There is a partial verdict in the Diddy case. After 2 days, the jury has reached unanimous decisions on 4 of the 5 counts.
The problem is that 5th count means that we don't get to find out what the verdicts are on the other 4, because they are hung up on...
The scale of this alleged operation is staggering. How does one man, no matter how wealthy or powerful, manage to orchestrate such a sophisticated web of cover-ups? The answer, some say, lies in the deep pockets of Hollywood's elite. According to industry whispers, Diddy is far from alone in this. He's reportedly part of a broader network of influential players who've mastered the art of bending the system to their will. From high-powered attorneys to tech wizards capable of scrubbing the digital footprint of entire events, the resources at his disposal are virtually limitless. And if these allegations are true, it's not just about Diddy. It's about an entire culture of corruption that thrives in the shadows of fame and fortune.
And a lot of people saying it's square peg, round hole, that we know that there are multiple jurors on both sides. It's not just one holdout, that on racketeering, they are stuck. But they have reached a decision on sex trafficking as it results with Cassie.
As the layers of secrecy begin to unravel, one question looms large. What about the tapes? Those hidden vaults of footage allegedly documenting years of debauchery and coercion could be the ultimate key to exposing the truth. Federal agents reportedly seized dozens of recordings during their raids on Diddy's properties, but the contents remain under wraps. Why haven't they been released? Is it because the tapes are still under legal review? Or because their release would implicate more people than anyone is ready to handle? Insiders suggest that these recordings don't just feature Diddy. They allegedly include appearances by other prominent figures, some of whom are household names. If these tapes ever see the light of day, the fallout could be catastrophic. Not just for Diddy, but for an entire industry built on secrecy and manipulation. The implications are almost too big to comprehend. If the tapes are as damning as rumors suggest, they could ignite a reckoning unlike anything Hollywood has ever seen. But there's another, more sinister possibility. What if the tapes are being used as leverage? What if they're the ultimate insurance policy, held over the heads of those who might otherwise come forward? It's a chilling thought, but in a world where power often trumps accountability, it's not hard to imagine. And for every day the tapes remain hidden, the question grows louder. Who else is being protected and at what cost?
All of those things that you just said are also included in the racketeering count.
So we don't know what the vote is.
So we don't know what the vote is. It's hard to read what they...
And let's not forget the broader implications of this scandal. Diddy's case has already sparked a wave of civil lawsuits and accusations, many of which allege a pattern of behavior that stretches back decades. Over 50 plaintiffs have come forward, each with their own harrowing stories of exploitation and abuse. Some describe being coerced into situations they couldn't escape. Others claim they were manipulated with substances or promises of fame. These aren't just isolated incidents. They paint a picture of a man who allegedly used his wealth and influence as weapons, leaving a trail of broken lives in his wake. And yet, the question remains, will he, or anyone in his orbit, ever truly face justice?
And this is the flight where Diddy said to her,
showed her the video,
testified
showed her
that
the Freakoff video.
He showed her a video of a Freakoff that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another Freakoff when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified
if it's true.
to that.
If the jury
they believed her,
yeah,
that's coercion. They would have Cassie.
As we reflect on the staggering scope of this story, it's impossible not to wonder what happens next. Will Jane resurface, or has her voice been silenced forever? Will the tapes finally come to light, or will they remain locked away, protecting the powerful at the expense of the vulnerable? And most importantly, will this scandal mark a turning point for Hollywood? A moment when the industry finally confronts its darkest secrets? Or will it simply fade into the background? Another cautionary tale swallowed by the relentless churn of the news cycle. We want to hear from you. Do you think the truth about Diddy and his alleged network of enablers will ever be fully exposed? Or is this just another example of the rich and powerful escaping accountability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, the more we demand answers, the harder it is for these secrets to stay buried. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep questioning everything. We'll see you soon.